We are live on YouTube for the first time in 2025. Wow. I was born in 1965, so that's 2025. Wow. 2025, man. Happy New Year, everyone. My first New Year's resolution, just coffee before noon. Bobby, I'm going to try to detox here. I'm assuming you're not a big breakfast guy, right? No. If you do have breakfast, what do you have?
Diet Pepsi, cigarettes, weed.
Diet Pepsi, yep. A piece of toast with a little butter on it, a little cream cheese.
You know when I like breakfast? At night.
Yeah.
I make really good breakfast, but I don't do it till like later on in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
For a full week for all new customers. It's a great way to try it out. Consider it a 7-day trial period, and you don't even need to drive. You can get up to $5,000 in around 30 minutes at don'tbebroke.com. Once approved, we have instant funding available to the debit card or account of your choice. Fast, easy, and free for a week anyway.
Yes.
To find out how much you qualify for and to apply at don'tbebroke.com. We even give you over a year to pay back, or you can pay it off early and save big. Stop by one of our many locations, give us a call, or check us out and apply online at don'tbebroke.com.
I hope everyone had a good New Year. A very troubling New Year for many, from New Orleans to Vegas. Been watching that press conference up here. The Rose Bowl is moved. The Sugar Bowl moved to tonight.
Oh no, it's at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, right when we start, right? Okay. All right, let's have a good show to kick off the new year. You didn't have that announcement from the Sugar Bowl, the pushback, right? That wasn't there, but it was there, but it wasn't there, you're saying. So you basically have Penn State final and Ohio State. Okay, that's good enough to start with.
You want those two?
Yes, please. Uh-oh, here come the mock drafts. Here come the mock drafts. Yeah.
The key ingredient is something called testosterone, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels and help you trim up and stay lean.
All right, let's get after this. Anything you want to hit on, we always say put in the chat. If there's something you like there, we appreciate that. Do you think that the Raiders should trade for J.J. McCarthy? He went 10th. I think he went 10th last year in the draft. New live reads for January. All right.
Listen to past podcasts 24/7 at lbsportsnetwork.com. This is Raider Nation Radio 920 AM, KRLV Las Vegas.
You're listening to the JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes it off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 20 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Our first show of 2025. How about that? We're ready to roll. Same program. This is what we do every day for 2 hours on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio. You can listen to the show live on the Raiders mobile app, where you can stream it anywhere in the world, or you can watch the monologue. And we're trying to get more and more people to watch the show. I want people nationally to watch the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, because we do a lot in that time, and then we'll reset and do it again at the top of the hour. And you can do that on YouTube at JT the Brick YT. We want to appreciate everybody who signed up for free to subscribe for that. Last year was kind of our project to get this thing going, and hopefully new things happening. I'm giving away gift cards. I'm giving away some old merch. We're giving away stuff for new subscribers. Not that we don't love the original subscribers here, but we're trying to get the numbers up. So if you want to subscribe for free, just go to YouTube. You should have it on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, JT the Brick YT, and just hit subscribe, and you get everything as we put it out there. What a horrific New Year's Day. Sad story about 2 terrorist attack incidents, one here in Vegas, and we'll get to that in a minute, but the one in New Orleans where 15 individuals were killed and many injured there on a street that I know pretty well and very familiar with. And what happened there, that postponed the Sugar Bowl that will they'll play that at the top of this hour, next hour here. So we'll have a day game for football and a pretty good game here. There was no way they could go through with that football game on New Year's Day. No chance. Can't go through that with that many people who were wounded and who died that close to the dome. There, you can't go on. Sports is not that important, especially considering the families that are grieving and what happened there. And then there was a bombing here at Trump International here with the Cybertruck, and I've been watching that press conference all day too. I don't talk a lot about the news here, but it affects us in this community where we live in. I go by that building, that hotel, once a week when I do my show every Monday there. I know that route. Pretty interesting, and that's been all over the news since. I hope everybody had a safe and happy New Year wherever you were. If you were traveling, you're coming into town. If you left town and you're coming back, and we hope that everybody has a safe start and a safe New Year in 2025. I've been doing radio since 96. So someone do the math for me. 2025 minus 1996. So I look at the anniversary of the show is always Memorial Day, but we start a new year on the radio. And I'm very thankful for that. Very blessed to have multiple platforms to broadcast on every week. And wherever you find us on whatever platform, thank you for that. And we'll continue it here. This is a bizarre week for me with the Raiders wrapping up the season. It feels like there could be a lot of closure as it comes to Sunday at Allegiant Stadium. It'll be the last home game of the year, and the Raiders are looking to win their 3rd in a row. After such a bad season, a slow start, they started off 2-2, lost 10 in a row, and seemed to be just finding some better football and some better play down the stretch here. I know fans are having a difficult time trying to come to grips with what happened this year. So am I. It's very unfortunate, but we'll put this season behind us here at the end of the week, and then we'll go on to the playoffs with the NFL. And we'll cover any Raider breaking news. And breaking news always happens with the Raiders. In the past, it would be Al Davis would make breaking news kind of during the Super Bowl. There'd be a lot of announcements during the Super Bowl on Radio Row, whatever would happen there. I don't know what's going to happen on Monday in regards to coaching, coaches. What usually happens on Monday is a pretty pivotal day in the NFL, Black Monday they call it. And then we'll have the playoffs set, and we'll be able to scope through the playoffs and get an understanding of what these matchups will look like. And then the Raider off season will be very interesting because, as I said last week as we wrapped up the show, I haven't been through something like this before in Vegas. You know, I was there for the Jamarcus Russell draft where the Raiders had the 1st pick overall, the Robert Gallery draft where Robert Gallery went number 2 overall. But this is the first time in Vegas where the Raiders are going to get a high pick. They got a lot of money to spend. There's a lot of uncertainty. Tom Brady's coming into the building as a minority owner, and there's going to be players that are back, players that are not under contract that need to be under contract, and free agents and what the Raiders are going to do in the draft. A lot of people reaching out to me today asking me on text and on Twitter, are the Raiders going to sign J.J. McCarthy? And I'm saying to everybody, are you kidding me? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do in regards to the quarterback. They're not going to get the 1st or 2nd pick in the draft, which would probably be a quarterback that they want unless they trade up. Do they have the resources to do that? Sure. Every team does. But last year, there was a couple of players you couldn't trade up for. One was Jaden Daniels. The other was Caleb Williams. They weren't available in a trade. You couldn't make a phone call to those teams and asked them for a deal to trade up. They weren't available. And I don't know what the case is going to be this year with Cam Ward and Shador, if they'll be available, but most people believe that this is a weak quarterback draft. It is not a strong one. So if you want your quarterback, you probably have to get into the top 3 or 4 to go get him. And if you don't want the quarterback, maybe you can trade for a quarterback, which is the focus of the monologue, brought to you by PTs. We're brought to you by Golden Entertainment, who owns PTs, 70-plus taverns here. You know, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 to midnight to 2. When it comes to the Raiders trading for a quarterback, you're either in 2 camps on this. I don't know how you can be in another camp. Well, maybe 3 if you want to draft a quarterback. But that ship could have sailed unless you want to take someone and trade down or wait there wherever the Raiders end up. If they end up at 8, 9, or 10, if they win another game, whatever it is, you can get a quarterback, no doubt about it. But if you want to get the elite quarterbacks, can the Raiders trade up? So maybe you're going to be in that camp. The realistic people are saying that you either trade for a quarterback and you go for a quarterback who's going to be a free agent like Sam Darnold, or maybe you don't have to wait for a free agent. Maybe you can just pick up the phone and trade for Kyler Murray of Arizona, who I'm a big fan of. Go around to another team and trade for a certain quarterback if you think that's a fit. I don't think anybody in Raider Nation wants Geno Smith, right? I'm not missing out on that one. You could trade for Geno Smith and get him if you want Geno Smith, who would be probably an upgrade because he's been a pretty decent player around here, but I don't believe that's going to happen, nor would I want that to happen. So with that being said, you're looking at the situation of Aiden O'Connell playing out the rest of this year, and Aiden is going to be a part of something going forward. I think that Aiden O'Connell will 100% be here. He'll be here either as the starter going into next year, competing for the starting position like he did with Gardner Minshew, or he's not going to have a shot to be the starter because if the Raiders trade for an elite free agent or a free agent that they feel so good about or they want to trade for, believe me, they're not going to trade for anybody to compete with Aiden O'Connell. Okay? If they're going to go after Sam Darnold, they're not doing it to have an open competition with Aiden O'Connell. I can promise you that. But if you brought in someone like J.J. McCarthy or a young player around the league and you thought that'd be a decent fit for anybody out there, there'd be an open competition there. So I believe that the Raiders are going to be very active in the quarterback conversation. I believe today that the Raiders will get out of this offseason with another quarterback. I hope it's a rookie. I hope it's someone with tremendous upside. I do like Jalen Milroe of Alabama. I don't care if he had a bad game or 2 this year. Lamar Jackson had games that weren't great at Louisville when he lost. You don't remember any of those games. Raise your hand and beep your horn if you ever saw Patrick Mahomes ever play a game at Texas Tech. Probably not. So guys aren't going to have great games in college. They're college kids. You're drafting guys out of college like Dart or Milroe or one of these other guys because you see something on tape, you interview the kid at the combine, you like him, he's got certain skill sets that you don't have in the building, such as a fast, elite rushing quarterback or someone who does some more things outside the pocket, and then you go get him. And that's what happened. Look at the Packers. They did that with Jordan Love. I mean, no one knew who Jordan Love was. Nobody knew who Jordan Love was. They took Jordan Love high. They parked him. They developed him. They brought him to practice every day behind Aaron Rodgers. They said, wow, this guy's pretty good. Eventually, we're going to have to play him. And into year 3, they played him. And now he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. That's what you do. You don't have to play the guy instantly. And if you don't play the guy instantly, then Aiden O'Connell's your starter. That's it. It's going to be one of 2 things that happen here. But we do have a game coming down the stretch here against the Chargers, who got their quarterback right, and Tom Telesco was a part of that. They didn't want Tua, or at least they didn't come out to want Tua. They wanted Herbert, and now they have their franchise quarterback who's led them to the playoffs, and he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks, no debate in football. You can do that if you wait for your quarterback and get it right. So that's going to be an off-season topic. But I just spent 7 minutes on it, and I'm done. Isn't that amazing? If people want to host my radio show for me, I appreciate, or give me ideas on how I would host the show. Bobby and my problem is we just gave you 7 minutes on that. Now we're out. We have nothing on it. So I got to do this in January, February, March. I mean, I just did 7 minutes and I'm done. There's nothing else for me to talk about. I don't know who the quarterback is. You don't. We don't know what Tom Brady, Mark Davis, and Telesco want to do. We don't have a clue. We don't have a clue. and we're going to open up the phones. I'm going to interview some people on the quarterbacks. They're going to tell me, well, this guy looks better than this. This guy's got better footwork. This guy's a better leader. And we're going to do that. And that's all we have. There's not a lot of rocket science into this conversation. It's about how to upgrade the team in the offseason with ample money, plenty of money to do it, a lot of draft equity. But I believe I'm in the camp that this franchise at this point needs some hope at the quarterback position if that elite young quarterback is available. Not that Aiden O'Connell doesn't give us hope. Aiden's a good player. We get that. Aiden was taken in the 4th round for a reason. Maybe he was a second-round talent that was taken in the 4th round. I agree with you on that. And Aiden might be the long-term answer here when it's all said and done. But being around this team, being around the fans, hearing what they have to say, it'd be nice to get a player. I'll tell you one thing I'm never going to do again is we're never going to have this anger in intensity with the tanking topic again. I didn't handle it well. Many of the listeners handled it worse than me. It's something that I'm very upset about. It's one of the few things I've taken home in my career. It's again, I started in 96, it's 2025. Mostly when I pull out of this parking lot or I pull out of another show at night, I leave the show behind me. I leave it behind me, and I swear I don't even think about it for a second. I don't watch or look at half the things I do again. Once it flies out of my mouth, it's gone. But this year, with all the intensity and the anger with the tanking and fans wanting to lose with a franchise that is built on winning, such as commitment to excellence, pride and poise, just win, baby. These terms were not made up in 2023. They've been around this franchise since pretty much it was born. And Al Davis came in right at the start of the franchise, that this place was a dark place for a couple of months. For a couple of months, you had hardcore fans with tattoos that said Raiders. They tattooed Raiders on their body, and they're walking around parking lots wanting to lose games. That's not good. That's not good. These are good people. These are very good people, but that's what was infiltrated into their head to actually believe and to train themselves that losing is a good thing. So fortunately for me, I'm in the building a lot. I talk to the owner frequently. I've seen him a bunch here in the last week or two. He wishes all a happy new year. I'm around the coach, interview the coach every week, and I'm around the players. Not all of them, but some of them. And all of them told me that they just want to play hard and win. But that wasn't good enough for this show. That wasn't good enough for this show. People attacking me and wondering why I fight back. People attacking me that I've never met and wondering why I respond to that. I didn't say a word to anybody. You come at me and you want to lose, you're not going to get a pleasant response. Because no one does it in person, Bobby. Nobody. Wow. Zero doing it in person, but they do it on other platforms. So dealing with that over the last 6 to 8 weeks, opening up my phone every day or coming on the show and hearing people go lose, that takes something out of you. And fortunately, mostly fortunately, I can put it behind me and focus on sports. Because everybody, this is just sports. It's nothing else. I mean, we're not talking about, I mentioned 2 terrorist attacks over the weekend, one here. All right. Some really, really unique things have happened in the last 48 hours that are much more important than sports. So I'm just trying to talk sports, which means you have fun, you go to games, you watch competition, and then you talk about it. But no, not this show, but Raider Nation, some of it got into a very uncomfortable spot. And I don't want to see that again. So who do you think wants to win more than me? Do you know anybody? I don't. I want to win more than anybody. I want to win every game. And I want to win for 2 reasons. It brings joy and happiness to many. Winning's better than losing. And a lot of people lost track of that. They thought there were excuses for losing. How about that? Imagine being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company coming in November and saying, we had a bad year at this company. Our ratings, our revenue's down. Our sales are down. So why don't we do this? Why don't we suck the rest of the year? Okay, Citibank, Salesforce, Facebook, Meta. Okay, we had a bad year. Or a company like Boeing. Oh, we've had a bad year. We're Boeing. Let's suck all of November and December and then start again in January like it didn't happen. That's what's happening in sports now. Look at the Jet fans. And it's not just the Raider thing. Okay, it's not the Raiders. It's the Giants. It's the Jets. It's the Titans. You go around the league with everybody who doesn't make the playoffs and its sky is falling. Look at the teams that haven't won the Super Bowl. I'll just give you two. Let me give you two. The Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills. How great would it be this year if those two teams were in the Super Bowl? They've never won nothing. Zero. In the modern era of the Super Bowl, 59 years, 59 Super Bowls, they've never won one. Why wouldn't you want to see one of those two teams win? You know, I've been going nuts about Kansas City. We got to stop Kansas City at all costs. They're doing Hallmark movies now with Kansas City Chief players as actors. Not real actors. Kansas City Chief players as actors in Hallmark movies where divorced moms fall in love with former Chiefs carpenters who now become love stories as Taylor Swift music is piping in the background. I'm not making this up. I mean, it is rough out there if Kansas City wins again. Patrick Mahomes didn't make the Pro Bowl, and they only lost one game. And let me stop the show by congratulating Brock Bowers and Max Crosby for becoming Pro Bowlers. The game's garbage. The game's a joke, but the honor's a big deal. The honor's a big deal, and if you can be an all-pro, the best at your position, that's even better. So with all of that, do I have New Year's resolutions? Yeah, I'm a New Year's resolution guy. I got a brand new planner. I tweeted that out today on X at JT the Brick. I write notes. I write goals. Got up this morning, did a little bit more than I normally did. And I want this new year to be great. What could be the best thing to happen in the new year? The best thing that could happen in this new year is the Raiders get it right. Because the other people that were brought in who got it wrong had great intentions to get it right. I'm aware of that because I, fortunately, lucky, if you want to use the word, lucky to know these people. John Gruden, Mike Mayock, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, Reggie McKenzie, Jack Del Rio, just to name a few recently. Everyone I mentioned lost their job. They all came in with great intentions to win, and it's hard to win. So now you have a new group of eyeballs on what's happening with the silver and black, along with Mark Davis, who's overseeing this and wants to win. I think even if you're a critic of Mark Davis, you won't deny that he wants to win. He's made that clear, and he's opened up his checkbook as generous as any owner in sports the last 5 years to try to get it right, and they haven't been able to get it right. Is that critical enough for you, or do you want me to just go in the back room and get a pitchfork and get fired and just say, blah, blah, blah? It's about as critical as I'm going to get. It hasn't worked. So they have to fix it, and I hope that will be part of the new year. But it is complicated because you could want Justin Fields. You didn't want Baker Mayfield. You want this coach. You want to keep the coach. Everything is a little bit complicated right now because it's the unknown. And sports radio is not good with the unknown. Take it from me. We're not good with the unknown. We're good with the known, right? We're good with the known. Like Texas beat Arizona State. I'll get into that next hour. My son's a senior at Arizona State. Arizona State was robbed. There was a targeting call, helmet to helmet, crown to crown. They didn't call it. They looked at it. They looked at it. They stopped the game and looked at it. It was targeting to the definition of targeting. My wife and I were about to put my son on an airplane to Dallas to go to the next round. We discussed it. We were joyful about it. We were going to put my son on an airplane because Arizona State, if Texas didn't win the game, which they shouldn't have won the game, the place would have been ghost town. Ghost town. No one would have went to Dallas from the state of Texas to see the University of Texas play. If they were eliminated, they're out. And no one's going to go see Arizona State. So my son could have walked in and sat anywhere he wanted, and they were robbed. That bothered me more than anything this weekend. That bothered me so much. I had to do the famous JT walk around the block. When I get like that, I had to leave the house and walk because I was upset about it because I felt like my son got robbed and he doesn't play for the team. Scatterboo does, and he deserved to play in the next round. Penn State looks good, but they haven't been tested as of late. Penn State wins, and they're winning, and that's what they get paid. They do get paid to do in the NIL, but I think they're playing well after a slow start.
Penn State, Fiesta Bowl champions. Next stop, the Orange Bowl. The Nittany Lions win the college football playoff quarterfinal, 31-14. They are Fiesta Bowl champions, and now on January 9th, it's off to Miami and the Orange Bowl.
Penn State, the radio on the call, and then the Ohio State just destroyed Oregon. I mean, are you serious, Oregon? That's what you do, Oregon? You've never won the big one, never won it. You're the 1 seed. You're coming off a bye week, and you get blown out of the joint at the Rose Bowl in the first half of the game. Wasn't even a contest. Ohio State looks like the best team in college football.
Snap to Will Howard, fakes the handoff, sets up behind the 50 to pass, guns that one deep down the middle of the field. Jeremiah Smith got it at the 4 and into the end zone. Jeremiah Smith on a 43-yard touchdown pass from Will Howard, the second time today. Those two have hooked up for a score, and what do you know? It's 23-0 Ohio State leading Oregon.
Buckeyes radio on the call, and that was just a blowout. So some of these games with the playoffs, have not lived up to the hype. They're going to play the game. If you're a much better team and you win in a blowout, it happens, but it's not good for the playoff. There's no doubt about it that they have to fix the seeding. They have to reseed after each round, I believe. But then that's hard for travel, right? So then how do you tell fans to go and travel? Penn State just won the Fiesta Bowl in Glendale. Now you're asking their fans to go to the Orange Bowl? Last I looked, that's in Florida, right? Miami? What college kid do you know can afford to fly from Happy Valley to Phoenix, back to Happy Valley, and then drive or fly to Miami? Right? I don't know how they're going to do this, but that's what it is. So college football, really important that we hit on that. I'll tie this into UNLV coming up here in a little bit. And who's going to be the first caller that I take in 2025 when it happens? 702-365-9200. No, Bobby, we're at a point now we have to give out the phone number. I'm on an island now, man. It's I'm very festive, very joyous, had a great new year, but Bobby and I got to work now. This is not a hard job. We got to work now to engage people, okay? Because the Raiders aren't making the playoffs, everybody. They're not making the playoffs Sunday. They're not going to be seated in the playoffs. And we have a radio station flagged, Raider Nation Radio, and I want to do more NFL radio, and we will. And we'll cover all the Raider news as it breaks. But we got to do more NFL mixed in here because NFL is king. And NBA. Yeah, and NBA. Yeah, NBA doesn't work in this town on the radio either. And most stuff doesn't work in this town on the radio. Other than hockey. You like hockey. Hockey works well here. But, yeah, so that's it. We're ready to roll. If you'd like to hear, we'd like to hear from you, 702-365-9200. Really, the topic this week is we only have 2 shows left. Is simple. What is your expectation with this final game? What is your expectation? The tanking topic's over. It's over. They won 2 in a row. No more tanking. It's over. You're not getting the first or second pick. That was the only reason for some people to at least justify losing. So you can't do that anymore. I'm happy that's off the table. I would like them to win 3 in a row. I would. If they win 3 in a row and beat the Chargers, I don't know what the Chargers are playing for other than seeding. The opportunity to get to the 5 if Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh and the Chargers to move up, and they get to play Houston instead of having to play Baltimore. Yeah, that'd be motivation for the Chargers to win. So I think the Chargers are going to have a lot to play for, but I don't know. The Chargers are already in. They might play the first half and shut everybody down, or the first 2 series and shut everybody down, or they might let everybody play. I look at the Chargers differently than I look at the Eagles, who are not going to play Saquon Barkley, which I think is a mistake. Saquon Barkley's 100 yards away from a really important record. Ask Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson loves that record. Okay? I don't know why he's not going for that record and they're shutting him down. I'm shocked by that. I'd let him play a little bit. What happens if his first run, he breaks one for 52 yards? He breaks one for 52 yards, and then he only needs 40 yards to break the record. I'd let him out there, but they're not going to do it. For the Chargers, who've never won nothing, and Jim Harbaugh being the head coach, I don't think they want to shut it down and start it up again. You know, the Chargers, if you got a guy who's banged up, let's just say Mac, Bosa, Derwin James, one of them, because you're all tired at the end of the year and banged up. If one of them's more banged up than the other, I'd sit that guy. But I think you want to, when you're the Chargers, when you're playing well and you made the playoffs, you want to keep playing well. That makes sense. You just don't want to tell everybody we're going to have a week off and that rust could hurt them in that next game. I would keep playing. That's just what I would do. But coaches look at it differently. Kenny in Vancouver. International call on the Raiders mobile app. Kenny is gone. Alan in Salt Lake City. Alan, so our first call of the year was a hang-up, Bobby, right? Put that. Thank you. That's a great start. Alan in Salt Lake. How are you?
JT the Brick, how are you?
I'm doing well, Alan. Thank you. What's happening?
Hey, about the tanking, I want the Raiders to win every game. I will never cheer for the Raiders to lose or hope they lose. I want to win every game. I've been thinking a lot about, how we're going to build this team, and I've got a weird outlook on it. I think we got to do something with the offensive and defensive lines. I think we have to be able to run the ball and protect the quarterback before we worry about drafting, taking a flyer on a 21-year-old kid coming out of college. Let's get a draft the best players we can draft, get a good team put together, and then I think quarterback will take care of itself. So Happy New Year's, JT.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate you. That's a good theory behind that, of building the offensive line. I'm not a big fan in drafting offensive linemen when you can get them in free agency. Since the Las Vegas Raiders moved to Las Vegas from Oakland, they've been a disaster at right tackle. They have. I mean, nothing against Thayer Mumford. He's a good guy. Nothing against the other guys they had in the past. But they need to find a player who's been to a Pro Bowl, who's under 30, who's available, and just know he's going to be really good. I'm not much into developing the offensive line. We have that with DJ Glaze, Jackson Powers-Johnson. That worked well for Tom Telesco. Colt Miller was a draft trade when we got him there. I'm good for that. But if you want to be the guy that wants to build the offensive line, because we don't have to build the defensive line. Defensive line set. Biggest decision on the defensive line is to pay Malcolm Kuntz to come back. And what is he worth? He didn't play this year. I don't know what the story is. But the defensive line is set. And the defensive backfield looks pretty good with Isaiah Palomal and Trayvon Merrick and Jacorian Bennett. I'm not saying that they can't draft better players or get one, but that looks pretty good. The offensive line has been very dramatic, very up and down. Good game, 2 bad games. Good game, 2 bad games. That's got to be fixed, especially if you're going to get a young quarterback, and I agree with the caller. But this year, it's going to be simple to feel where I am. I'm the guy who wanted Baker Mayfield, right? Me. How'd that work out? I wanted Baker Mayfield. I'm the guy who wanted Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago. He might be your quarterback. I wanted him 2 years ago before he went to the Jets. I'm the guy who wanted Russell Wilson for $1 million. $1 million. That wasn't a choice. So I want a quarterback who is promising to the future, who's young. And keep Aiden too. And I could look Aiden in the eye saying that if I bumped into him. Yeah, you're really good, and I hope you're here forever. But I think there should be another quarterback in the building, and it shouldn't be Gardner Minshew. 702-365-9200. We're brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's, start the new year off. Tito's made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Tito's Handmade Vodka makes the good stuff for good times. It's my go-to vodka. Make Tito's your go-to vodka, too. Find cocktail recipes, videos, and more at titosvodka.com. Vinnie Bonsignore, Raider Insider, joining us next. All right. First monologue of the year. That was nice.
And shows, no matter your location, by simply downloading the free LV Sports Network app.
That was nice. How's
Android.
everyone
Go
doing?
to the App Store or Google Play and search LV Sports Network. Download and you are good to go. Raider Nation Radio.
Yeah, I'll believe the
ESPN
Chargers are
Las
resting their
Vegas,
starters when I see the
Sports Las
inactives.
Vegas, 12:30 the game.
It's only
It's all part
Thursday.
of the LV Sports Network and can all be streamed live on the LV Sports Network app. Download it today.
See what Ian Rappaport has to say today.
So you can ride like a pro. M-Ride will take you round trip from Circle of the Palms to Allegiant Stadium or T-Mobile Arena. No more hassle parking, sitting in traffic, or waiting in long taxi or rideshare lines. M-Riding. And you get in and out
Yeah,
quickly.
I'm sure at some
Reserve
point.
your ride at
Yeah, that's the point.
mridelb.com. Use promo code BRICK. That's mridelb.com.
Man, these Pro Bowl games are a joke.
Chill in Raider Nation? How about catching a game from Coors Light Landing with a great view, seat service, and even a cup holder that keeps your beer cold? Well, get ready, Raiders.
All right, everybody. Good to see you there. Happy New Year. I'll tell you one thing. I think either the Chargers or the Broncos, I'm not going out on a limb here, one of those two teams are going to win a playoff game. I believe that. No Lee Sterling today, Big D. He is off. He's off for the holidays. He was traveling. He'll be here next week.
For over 85 years, Labor's Local 872 and Las Vegas have teamed up to change the world of entertainment, sports, and economic development. Labor's Local 872 is a proud member of Team Vegas. From 1937 to today, Local 872 has been moving Las Vegas forward. Our members built the Hoover Dam Extension Bridge, finished City Center.
Here's a topic that's trending. Jordan Hudson says she's been dating Bill Belichick for over 3 years. Hudson is 24 years old.
Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert creative writings to conversational video guides and even live classes, you can
Paul Goldsmith signed with the Yankees, former MVP, Bob. He didn't have an MVP year last year, but I got to hope he plays well. Vinny on hold?
Try Babbel for free.
This is going to be Pierce coming back.
BBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Patty Davidson here from BetMoneyHoney.com. Have you ever felt like the odd man out at a friend's house watching the game? After years in the sports betting industry, I can teach you the rules of different sporting events.
Vinny was just in New Orleans.
Understanding of the game. Plus, I can teach you how to place a bet on a game, which will completely change your perspective.
Snow Raider, what's happening? Good to see people here. Appreciate everybody who helped build this channel. Takes a while to build this shit, man. Not easy. There are big names in media that are trying to launch YouTubes, and they have less than 500 subscribers, man. You got to build this thing one at a time. And then it gets to a point, and then it just multiplies. Tim Tebow on TV. Yeah, asking on Twitter, the New Year's resolution, just coffee before 2. I'm going through like a light detox. Not from booze and cerveza, just everything. You know, a little bit too much Grimaldi's down the stretch and wraps and flour tortillas. You get rid of that for a month or so, hopefully long. But I am one of those guys who fall for the New Year's resolution. I am a definite guy, I believe, first of the year. Because if you don't have, how do I describe this? If you don't have dates and numbers in your mind to change your life, right? You know, what's going to happen in this year of your life or that year of your life. If you don't believe in any of that, then it's hard to set goals. It's hard to think about the future. You know, if some people here that are not motivated, this is a good week to get motivated. You know, you see a lot of gym commercials and Planet Fitness commercials for a reason. They're trying to get people fired up to turn their lives around. Yeah, hit the like button if you can. Thank you.
Finish. You know, we all signed up for 17 games and 18-week schedule. We've had a good, really good month in my opinion, regardless of record. Just seeing the improvement, things that we talked about, and now just great opportunity against a divisional foe that we know very well that we saw in week 1 to finish.
Santonio Pierce, we had a pretty good sit down the other day. He wants to win them all. He almost jumped over the table. He brought it up. There are no meaningless games. You get paid to coach. You get paid to play. This is an important game coming up against the Chargers. We bring in our Raiders insider and our teammate, Vinnie Bonsignore, from here, Raider Nation Radio, on our morning show. So, Vinnie, first off, happy birthday to your daughter. I saw you tweet that today. That's a milestone. Always good to have your kids having memorable birthdays and you being able to celebrate, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very, very much. So she's ecstatic. getting ready to graduate high school and off to UNLV. So life just begins.
We can't wait. Another Rebel here in town. On a serious note, you were in New Orleans recently, and that event could have happened Raider weekend, or it could have happened the Super Bowl week, and it happened before the Sugar Bowl. And knowing that you were just on those streets and just in that vibrant community, what was it like to watch New Year's Day and the horrific news?
Yeah, just shocking and heartbreaking. And I probably crossed over that intersection there at Canal and Bourbon Street probably 10 times.
Yeah.
Over that weekend. You know how it is in New Orleans. It's a walking city and everything's really close by. And you walk from your hotel to the restaurants that you're going to and just take it in on the sights and sounds. So, like I said, I passed that, time and again over that weekend. And then to wake up to that news and to see the photos and to understand that that's literally where we were. You know, when I left on Monday, on my ride share back to the airport, we passed right by the Superdome, and it was already all Sugar Bowled out. The team was in town; both teams were in town. All the fans, the great fans from Notre Dame and Georgia, were coming into town, and everybody was getting ready for what was going to be a great game yesterday and a great event that New Orleans is prone to do. And then to have it all, get for what happened, for a senseless, horrific act. It just really puts things in perspective, and my heart goes out to everyone that's affected. I know I talked to Brock Bowers yesterday and Michael Meyer yesterday, two proud Notre Damers and Georgia Bulldogs, and their heart, went out to everybody as well. They were checking in on all their friends and family members, and support staff there at Georgia. So it puts everything in perspective, is what it does, in the wrong kind of perspective.
Yeah, Vinnie Bonsignore is our guest. Well, quickly with Brock, or not quickly, getting a Pro Bowl accomplishment as a rookie is spectacular, considering how many great players play in the AFC that position. I mean, there's 4 or 5 of them that have been borderline elite, and for him to come in as a rookie and set the tone and go to the Pro Bowl, pretty spectacular, huh?
Yeah, it is, and we just got done, talking to Scott Turner, the Raiders interim offensive coordinator, and I brought up, the part about how it's almost crazy to think about this, but he literally is just scratching the surface. This is a guy that just turned 22 years old. Think about that for a second. In an age right now where, more and more of these rookies are coming into the league after 5, 6, years or so. Look at Dylan Gabriel, the Oregon quarterback, who's he's been in college football for 6 years, and players are coming into the league older and older, which on one hand, that's a good thing. It gives pro people a little more time to really assess these players. But in Brock's case, he was 21 years old through most of his rookie career doing the things that he was doing. And the scary part for the rest of the NFL, and the great thing for the Raiders and Raider fans, is that he is just scratching the surface. There is another level that he's going to be able to get to. And as Scott pointed out, the maturity body-wise, being able to add even more athletic ability, which that's off the charts right now. But the older you get, the more prime years that you start entering into, where the mind and body are working in sync more and more. That's what's going to be the case for Brock Bowers. And that's a scary proposition for the rest of the NFL, on top of what he's already done, which has been lights out. So the future is really bright for Brock Bowers and the Raiders young tight end.
Vinnie Bonsignore is our guest. What about what Max has said on his podcast, and, consistency needing to be important, and he's been losing a lot here. I know Max well, and you talk to him often. He has the right to go on a podcast and tell everybody how he feels emotionally. He's a very emotional guy, and he's not here down the stretch. He's around the team and organization, but not out on the field to wrap up the season. He also gets a Pro Bowl nod.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think we can all agree that had he stayed healthy, he was going to push for, absolutely Pro Bowl, All-Pro, all those types of things. And he's Max Crosby, and what he does is spectacular. And it is interesting, some of the things that he said, on the podcast. It'll be interesting to see if he speaks to us, at the end of the year, when everything gets cleared out on Monday, because there are some decisions that have to be made, and there's a contract situation that's been looming for a little while in terms of the guaranteed money being out. at the end of this year. And what are the Raiders going to do? What's Max Crosby going to do? I know that he wants it to work here. That's what he's consistently maintained. But he also has, I think, earned the right to be able to, talk frankly, about what's going on and what you would like to see happen. And I'm somebody that's covered some great players over the years. Kobe Bryant comes to mind, and he never had an issue, nor should he have after a certain point in his career, where he spoke publicly in terms of not putting pressure on the organization, but letting them know that there should be expectations, and he wants to win, and everybody should be rowing in the same direction and having that same goal and doing everything possible to make sure that does happen. So I'm not surprised, by some of the comments that Max made. It'll be interesting to see where that all goes.
Vinnie Bonsignore from our morning show, Vegas Nation, great NFL insider on top of everything. So the 8-0